Hey everybody, Sean from Compleat Magic, and today we're going to go over my Thrun Last Troll deck. It's taken me a lot of months to put this together, and haven't played it yet, so we'll see. Well, I haven't played it complete yet. It did pretty well when it was just kind of barely put together. It didn't have the full draw engine and all the land drops in it that I wanted, but now it's in there. So it'll be kind of neat to go through this and just show everybody what I got going. If anybody has any suggestions, just let me know. But I'm pretty confident that this will play pretty well in a pod. All the haters that say that Sigarda is just unequivocally better than Thrun, I don't know about that. Mono Green offers some cool things in Gaia's Touch, and we'll get to those cards in a little bit. So, first off, we got the Commander, Thrun the Last Troll. Can't be countered, can't be the target of spells or abilities the opponents control, and he has Regenerate. Regenerate's pretty important because you want to be able to avoid board wipes. Some of the ones that you're really going to be looking after is, like Toxic Deluge, and maybe the ones that say do not regenerate. So we do have a couple conditions in here to help him out with that. First off, we have some Dorks, Arbor Elf, a lot more elves, Stee, and a Sanctum Weaver. So this is an Enchantress deck. So that's why we have heavy enchantments in here. We're gonna lean on these enchantments to create a draw engine. And we're also gonna use enchantments to be able to ramp better than just these few mono dorks. So we'll get to that here in a second. But Sanctum Weaver really likes the number of enchantments you have, so that makes her very good in this deck. Of course, we have the Soul Ring, and make everything budget since we're mono green. And then we end up with some of these Wild Growth, Willowwood Haven, Willow Haven, and Overgrowth. We're trying to enchant some lands, that way we can get a draw and some ramp at the same time. So we're gonna put all three of those in there. And then we have some land dumps. So should have probably put the draw ahead of the dump cards, but we wanna be able to play more lands every turn, because we're going to be drawing plenty of cards and we need to be doing something with those lands other than just discarding them. They will be our first discard targets, but I don't have a Reliquary Tower in here because, I mean, you're not going to be making difficult choices on the cards in your hand. You're just going to draw and play the best cards that you have available to you and discarding the rest. So we have Dryad of the Elysian Grove, Oracle of Moldiah, Exploration. One of my favorites, Gaia's Touch. So it's from the dark and it's got a little bit of a misprint. I think half of them were misprinted to where all the text is just slightly to the left. And you can actually put this down and it'll pay for itself. You can sacrifice it to give yourself an extra boost if you need a little bit of bump to get something else down. Or if you need to use Thrun's ability. So that makes Gaia's Touch awesome in this deck. And it kind of works like an exploration because we do have a lot of force in this deck. Now we're going to be looking at cards and enchantments that help you draw. So this is the draw engine. We have Season of Growth to start it off. We get Scry when creatures enter, but we don't have a ton of creatures in here. We're just heavily focused on enchantments. But when we cast a spell that targets a creature, so whenever we cast an aura on Thrun, we're going to be drawing a card. So great card draw for only 2. Enchantress Presence, part of the normal Enchantress package. Same thing with Verduran Enchantress. And then Argothian Enchantress. This one's kind of on the high end of the budget, but with mono green, you really need to get that draw engine going for it to even be close to viable. So I think it's worth it for a deck like this. And Sigarda, it might not be worth it, but we'll see how it performs. I'll let everybody know how this deck does once I finally get around to actually playing it in a pod of more than 2 people. And then we have Eidolon of Blossoms, another draw. Setessan Champion, great draw. Nessian Wanderer, which is more of a filter than a draw, but hey, we'll take it. Constellation all day. And Keen Sense. So we have a lot of these auras that are going to help us draw as well. So we want Keen Sense to be there. It's one of the cheaper ones that just lets our commander swing and draws cards. Snake Umbra. The Family's Favor, this is a new one from the new Capenna commanders, and it also has a shield counter on it, so it can help you out with some indestructibility to get around for do not regenerate effects, but mainly you're going to be using it for draw. If you really need some draw, we have Rishkar's Expertise, a couple of sorceries, and Harmonize. So these are kind of, if you're falling behind or if you end up with a wipe, you want to hold these into your hand if you end up getting wiped off the board, so that you can refill and restock your hand and start putting things back down on the board again. Now, after we get our draws going, we just want to make Thrun big. We can't have him dying because we want to be swinging with him every turn. So we have a lot of cards to make him big. Nylea's Colossus. Ancestral Mask is one of the best ones in the deck. +2/+2 for every other enchantment. So that can make him very big. Rancor is another great option because it lets him trample over when we have a whole suite of cards just to get him through people, including trample. Most of them are trample, but this also helps him get bigger as well. And it comes back to your hand if it ever gets put in the graveyard, so that's fine. Blanchwood Armor is another one that gets him big, buffs him based on the number of force, and we got a lot of force in this deck. And Colossification. This one's not that great of a card because it taps him, but I kind of like it because not only does it make him big, which is kind of fun, having a giant commander, +20/+20, but you can also cast it in a bind on somebody else's blocker. You can take one of their blockers out of commission by tapping them with Disenchantment, and that's kind of a silly way to win. So I like those kinds of effects, and it's staying in the deck, even though it's not the most competitive card. Bear Umbra, we have a few of these totem armor auras in the deck, and that way if you get caught off guard and you've already regenerated and then somebody hits you with another wipe, the totem armor or the Bear Umbra is going to take the brunt of that. But it also untaps all the lands, so it gives you some sweet mana ramp as well. Hydra's Growth can get big very quickly just because of this bottom text here. Double the number of +1/+1 counters on enchanted creature during the upkeep. So we have a few of these enchantments that add counters. It's not counter heavy. We don't have doubling season in here or anything. But this thing can help them just kind of ramp into bigger things and using the counters. Here's another one with counters, Shape of the Wee-to-Go. So it's another one that's just more fun than it is great. It could be swapped out. Some of these ones that get them bigger would be on the first cards on the chopping block. And an Unnatural Growth from Double Feature. So you get the double the power and toughness until end of turn. So if you get a Colossification and Unnatural Growth out there, you're going to have a big guy. You just need to get him some trample. Oath of Ancient Wood is another one where you can put counters, and it kind of stays. It's not an aura, so it's a lower risk of falling off the commander. So it makes it good. Another one that helps you ramp, and it also gives you kind of a Crufix effect where the mana doesn't go away at the end of phases. So that's pretty good. It lets you use it again down the road as long as it sticks around. So that's a good aura. We have one with Nature, which will filter out your deck from lands. It's always good to filter out your lands so you're drawing more stuff that you need. Plus, you might have some of those land extra where you can put down extra lands during your turn, and this will help you activate those. Indomitable Might is in here because of the flash, and it has evasion. You can just, if your creature gets blocked, it doesn't matter. You just make it do commander damage straight to their face. It's a great card. It can surprise somebody and just let you take a player out of the game really quick. Canopy Cover is another evasion card, so we're into the evasion cards that kind of, now that he's big, we're trying to just hit people. So Canopy Cover is a good one for that. Alpha Authority can only be blocked by one creature, so you can't get ganged up on by tokens. Nylea gives them trample and gives them +2/+2 for a little bit of extra. Kodama the West Tree. Modified creatures have trample. Auras are modifications, so it gives them trample. Plus, he gets to look for basic lands and put them onto the battlefield tap. So he's kind of dual purpose here and just a good one to have in here. Rune of Might gives trample, draws a card, and gives +1/+1. Not a bad card. Gaia's Embrace, trample, +3/+3. So you see the theme here. We're just trying to trample over our opponents, get through any way we can. And if we also can make them bigger at the same time, great. This one draws a card and gets +1/+0. So with any sort of discounts, all these card draws, if you put them down and you already have the card engine, Argothian Enchantress, any of those enchantresses down, you're drawing multiple cards for 1 and 1 green, plus giving them a little bit of push through. You know, you can stomp over them with trample. Heroic Intervention, this one you want to keep in your pocket, keep in your hand. If somebody plays something that nukes everything on the board, then you want to have this available. You want to be able to use Gaia's Touch to pop this. So it's a good card to keep somebody from wiping you off the board if you're the big threat, if you become the arch enemy. Obscuring Haze is another one that's free. So if you're always going to have your commander out. The goal is to ramp down, get Thrun down, and start attaching stuff to them. So you want to leave some mana open so that you can regenerate them at any time. But if you happen to be tapped out, this one could help you if you're trying to swing into something that's a little bit larger, swing into Death Touch, something like that. This thing could help you out and still help you get an attack trigger, or just keep your opponents from swinging at you. Now we're trying to start doing more stuff. We've hit the utility cards, if you've already seen, but now we're starting to look at removal. So we got Chimera's Transformation and Enchantment. You'll notice that a lot of these are enchantments. Songs of the Dryad. Beast Within, of course. Lignify. Seal of Primordium. So you're going to destroy an artifact or enchantment by using an enchantment. So hopefully that can help you draw a card. Warbriar Blessing. It's an enchantment that lets you fight. Cartouche of Strength. I hope I might have pronounced that right. Probably not. But it gives somebody trample and fight. So that's good all the way around. Plus he gets a little bit bigger. Then we have a Primal Might if you're just looking to swing quickly and end something. Colony Ambush doubles as a land. Of course, Acidic Slime, just getting the good utility out of that. And now we're on to pulling things out of your graveyard. Since you'll be drawing a lot of cards, you might have to discard some cards that you might not have wanted to discard. Since we have so many enchantments in here, you can remove an enchantment from your hand and return any other enchantment back to your hand. So this is a great enchantment to have down in an Enchantress deck. It's kind of underutilized, not played a lot, but this should help me be able to bring stuff back if somebody gets rid of a threat. So if I want Ancestral Mask back to make them big, or if there's anything else, any other utilities that I want back, Holistic Wisdom can help me discard one of those cantrip +1/+0 cards and get something that's, you know, measurably better back. Seasons Past can do the same thing, as long as they're different casting costs. And we have a pretty wide variety of casting costs in here, from Colossification all the way down to like 1-cost enchantments. Then we have Destiny Spinner, who's going to help our enchantment spells from being countered. Thrun doesn't really care. He already can't be countered. But Destiny Spinner, we don't want somebody countering our, you know, some of our better enchantment cards and putting them into our graveyard. We also might need to give Thrun some haste. So these are around just for that. Lightning Greaves you might want to stay away from, because if you give them Shroud, you can't really load them up with enchantments. So you'd use this and you'll need another creature to bounce it off of onto and bounce it back on with the 0 equip cost, so that you can actually put stuff back on to Thrun. And then of course, since we only have one creature in our deck that wants to attack, Silent Arbiter really helps them out. no more than one creature can attack, and no more than one creature can block. So again, that'll help you going up against any token decks from just getting overwhelmed. Now we're finally to the lands, and we have a few utility lands, and then we get to our basics. Got the Tyrite Sanctum, so we're gonna make Thrun a god. I mean, he's already a god in his own right, so let's go ahead and make him a god and put a +1/+1 counter on him. You've seen we have cards that can do stuff with those counters, and we can put an indestructible counter on him, which is nice because if you run into a Wrath where he can't be regenerated, the indestructible counter is gonna come in handy. You got Bonder's Enclave, where it'll let you draw a card. It's always good. War Room, draw a card for paying only 1 life because it's a monocolored deck. Witch's Clinic will give them lifelink. So we're kind of going through the Voltron lands here. All of these are great for pretty much any Voltron deck. And then just in case, we have some cycle lands in here. So I got Tranquil Thicket, and we have another one further down. A Hideaway land, if you want to play a really big, he's going to get big. So his power is going to get 10 or greater. So this will let you just cast something for free. It's a good way to kind of filter out your library too if there's something that you just don't really feel like playing right away or don't want to see after you reshuffle. You could always just hide it away under Mosswort Bridge too. Beseiju, that channel, people said this card was going to be great. A few people said that it's not gonna, that it's going to go down in price and not be that great. I think it's awesome. The channel can't be, is very hard to counterspell, and it's going to knock out any sort of like Meek Stone or any of those annoying things. It's just going to keep you from getting your stuff done. So anything that can target artifacts, enchantments, or non-basic lands, this thing's going to really help. So Blighted Woodland, a little bit of extra ramping land is always great. We love to find more forests and swap this out for more forests. Slippery Karst, that's that other cycling land that I told you about. Castle Garenbrig, it's going to let you activate abilities or cast Thrun if he's been put back into the command zone. So that's really the only reason in here. Otherwise, a forest would be better, but you can't depend on Thrun always being out all game and things always going to plan. So this can help us get him back out quicker. And then, of course, Rogue's Passage. We don't want Thrun to be blocked. So let's put this in our deck. And then after that, we have 25 forests. So that's the deck. Thrun with the enchantment package, the Enchantress package, and he's ready to go smash some face. So I'm excited to get this guy out and get him into a pod and play him, and I'll let everybody know how he fares. And stay tuned. I got some other decks that I'd like to show you in the future. I got a Traxa, and I know Evan has some decks that he wants to show you. So we're excited to go through our paper cards. You know, everybody loves putting in time into their decks, and it's kind of fun just to show you guys what we've been working on and what we work with at the table. So we'll see you around.